Hello, everybody. Welcome, everybody, I say,
Uh,
meaning nobody. Welcome
Nobody,
back to the Triple Doink podcast. Um,
everybody. No, everyone in the world watches this fantastic podcast.
yeah, we have a huge, huge audience. Um, anyway, like I said, this is the Triple Doink podcast. My name is Ryan, and I'm joined by the Dirk Gently to my Todd Brotzman, my friend Bryce. How are you, Bryce?
What reference is that? I don't know half of these.
Yeah, I told you to watch that show when it was on, and you didn't do it, and now it's canceled, and it's your fault.
What show?
That was a reference to Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency.
I don't watch shows in general.
I know, but that
There's
one was really good.
man,
Um,
I it's my loss, I guess. My
it's
loss.
everyone's loss, Bryce. They canceled the show.
You got me
Anyway,
there.
I decided to make me the Todd Brotzman in that analogy because a few weeks ago I referred to myself as Frodo, and Elijah Wood plays both of those characters. So, anyway, um, how are you, Bryce?
I'm doing pretty good.
Oh,
Pretty
good.
solid.
All right. I mentioned this before the podcast, but I'm going to say it on the podcast so that it's there forever. Um, I've determined that there's a realistic chance that 90 to 95% of the problems in my life are caused by spectrum, um,
You're gonna
which
bring this up.
includes which includes a really terrible internet connection. So, just in case, you'd better have your Twitter feed ready again.
I always have it up. Don't worry about it.
Oh, yeah, good to know that
I'm always
you're
on top. Always on
you're
top of all this.
completely focused on this podcast and nothing else.
Well,
Um,
I don't look at it. It's just in another tab. I have tab suspenders, so I don't have to worry about things getting like overcluttered. So I have like 4 or 5 tabs up all at all times.
yeah, I know. I was just giving you a hard time.
I understand.
So, all right. Um, so this is episode what, 6?
I think so. Next one will be the tying episode.
Yeah, we're gonna tie our record next time, and also, next episode's gonna be big because the draft is this weekend. Um, so we're going to have lots to talk about next time. Not a lot to talk about this time, unfortunately, because we're just kind of waiting for the draft to get here.
It's been that way for quite some time.
Yeah, a few weeks now. Um, so, before we get into the news, I have a couple. See, I really thought that I could tie off these loose ends last time, and I still forgot to mention some stuff. So, on the subject of Half Life and habits,
Oh my! 3 episodes in a row. I see.
I forgot about the training instructor in the hazard course, which is the tutorial for the game. Um, the training instructor hologram is female, so I forgot about her.
How dare you? Uh,
Yep,
in this culture, nonetheless.
but that's it. I do believe that's all of them in that game. All the female sprites that are human, at least. Um, and then last week I made a tremendous mistake in that I was confusing clipper ships with something else that they're not.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you did.
thinking of like the steam ships that are for traversing the Mississippi River, but that's not what clipper ships are at all. So my solution is we're still moving the clippers to Memphis, but we're just going to change their name to the steamers. Um, and they're going to be
The
now
steamers
the steamers.
instead of the clip. Oh my Jesus!
Yes. And also, one last thing about the NBA is I to mention why the Cavaliers were moving to St. Louis in my scenario. Um, and it's because I feel bad for the people of St. Louis who have lost two NFL teams and two NBA teams that have just relocated out of there.
They
Um,
don't have any, right?
no, they just have the Cardinals, the baseball Cardinals. That's it. Oh, and I think
And
they have a
isn't it
hockey
like
team.
one of the top 10 most populated cities in America?
I don't know. I'd have to look that up, but um,
That's really
it's a
odd.
it's a cool city. They've got the St. Louis Chess Club, so there's that.
Wow.
Um,
Oh, the prestigious.
well, I mean, hey,
Worldwide known. World known.
Fabiano Caruana lives there now. I mean, come on. But anyway, um, so
He
yeah,
hasn't
that's
won
why I
yet,
was
so
moving
like
the
no one
Cavaliers
knows
to St.
about him.
Louis. I feel like they're a deserving city, and it's better to put the Cavaliers there than LA, where they already have a team.
All right. Fair enough. Excuse me? All right. He cut out. Cool. 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 I think that's just his mic problems because I don't think I see any connection problems. What I can talk to about in the meantime is the midseason invitational, which is gonna start in the next few weeks. We got play-ins. Draft was this morning, I think, or last morning. I didn't watch it, but the groups for the play-ins were drawn, and what we have is Fenerbahce playing against. I think Bombers are from Oceanic region. They are. Uh, and alongside them, you got the Latin America Isurus Gaming, who have Audi, and Audi is like the only player I can recognize from there. God, he's that one Peruvian jungler, and he's like okay and average at best, which is way better than most players from Latin America. Then you got Fung Fu Buffalo, who I think will win the group, because I mean they got going a lot of the analysis for these really shitter teams that I'm not going to watch games on are basically, oh, I recognize that name. Oh, so it's either going to be Fenerbahce or Fangbu that win. Because you got Kyrie and Ruin. I think Kyrie is. I know that guy. Huh. Anyway, these are the most boring stages. You got Japan playing against Brazil, playing against. Oh my god. What is he? Southeast Asia, right? Yeah, that's where you got all the Thailand teams. And you got Vega Squadron, which is that one Russian CIS team. I'm just waiting for the main event. I'm sad Jingdong got 3-0'd. I'm so sad. That's one of the most depressing things. But yeah, you basically got three really good teams waiting for them. You got Invictus Gaming's actually insane still. Like they just play so dominant, so clean. Are you back?
I am back,
There you
but
are.
um, okay. What was the last thing you heard from me before? Did you hear me talking? Let's see. I I finished talking about why the Cavaliers were moving to St. Louis.
Yes, you did.
I think that's all the stuff that I wanted to say pre-news. So, um, okay, go back to your Twitter feed for a minute because I am going to
I'll be
move to a
honest. It
place where
wasn't
I have.
Twitter feed this time.
Oh boy.
It was all League of Legends since midseason invitational is happening. And Invictus Gaming's probably the one I'm picking to win this whole thing. As much as I think that SKT is this dominant super team, I think Khan is going to be a really big problem against the Shy, as the Shy is just gonna and the Invictus Gaming's top jungle prio is gonna really punish how shaky and off kilter the Con has been playing. I don't believe that Teddy can make up for it because Teddy's a great late game player, and I don't think games are gonna pass 35 minutes between these two teams. I think that Jackie Love is good and Balan are good enough to mitigate the pressure of Teddy and Mata because I think Teddy and Mata just win that lane. And mid lane is such a fucking even matchup. Oh my lord. Rookie and Faker are the best two mid laners in the world, and seeing them play against each other man on man, that's gonna be a treat if ever. I think G2 has an outside chance. I don't think people, no one's gonna actually like vote them to win, but like, it's just every player on G2 is worse than every player on SKT. There's like no advantage that they have. It's really unfortunate. It looks like we're getting to top side. However, I think MSI might be on an ADC favored comp, which would be if teams are just picking these late game scaling ADs, then I guess SKT just win. Because they're the only team that can actually play that perfectly. But yeah, what do you got, Ryan? Thoughts?
Well, I was going to say before you went on that tangent, keep vamping for another minute, but you did that, so that's good. Yeah, just give me like 30 more seconds of vamp.
Well, they got two other teams that I haven't been talking about because one of them is the NA team, Team Liquid, and North America just they're gonna suck. They're gonna be boring. I don't think they're gonna do anything. I think they're gonna be the most if we ever are ahead, we're gonna slowly win the game team, but they're never gonna get ahead against any of these really good teams because they're just pound for pound worse. And Flash Wolves, who essentially just imported two Korean players when their star players went to China. And Hanabi isn't anything. I think Hanabi is still pretty terrible from what I've seen. Betty is actually a solid AD, but he's not even like top 3 in the tournament, I don't think. They're just like, there's nothing to talk about with any of these teams. Woo.
So basically, what I'm hearing is all of those teams that you were attempting to talk about, Buffalo Bills, where there's just nothing to talk about.
In a way, like they're just uninteresting, and they're not gonna. They. There's actually, it's funny because there's a team called Phung Vu Buffalo from Vietnam.
All right, well that's an interesting team name. I want to hear more about them.
You telling me to ramp more?
No, actually.
Oh.
Nope.
I'm sorry?
Yeah. I unplugged my mic by accident, but we're good now.
I was about to say, that was quite weird what I heard.
What did you hear?
You just kind of turned into a mess.
Oh. Well, it's just like every day then. Okay. I am trying to get all of these chords situated, though.
I just imagining you in like some like post-apocalyptic like society where it's just technologically run and you're just like in a room full of wires hanging from like the ceiling, like computers spinning in the background, and you're just like kind of plugged in. You're just like, I need to get situated in here.
Okay, last tangent before we get into the news. Do you remember when we were doing Doctors and Dragons? Did you actually watch the last episode that we were supposed to do? Oh, wait a minute. No. No, the last episode we were supposed to do of Doctor Who was Father's Day. So the one before that, the last one that we actually recorded, you remember the Jagrafest that was just hanging from the ceiling in Satellite 5 that was like controlling everything?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's basically me right now.
I see. I see.
Anyway, um so yeah, I now have a direct connection. It's solid. From now on, I am just going to be doing this podcast from my basement where I can plug in directly. So hopefully
Hopefully,
things will
yeah.
be all right.
Things fix up.
Okay. So, I guess let's get into the news. Um so short we're going to talk about the schedule release at the end of the news because that's kind of the biggest thing that's happened. So we're just going to save that. Um and plus it ties into our predictions a lot, so that's why we'll kind of talk about it at the end.
I
um
see. Okay.
I was mainly telling the audience, not you, because I already told you that. um so anyway, first item on my news document is the Chargers are apparently going to wear their primary home uniforms now are going to be the powder blue uniforms. um
Yeah, that was
which I feel like that's
everyone's
just,
basically saying finally it's about damn time.
yeah, I mean that's where I stand on it. I mean, this is a change that is long overdue. Um, those uniforms are just so much better than the ones they've been wearing. I don't know why it's taken them this long. So
Glad we're
I
in
guess,
agreement about the
yeah.
attire of football
Again,
teams.
we're just on the same page with that, so we can move on. Uh, no further discussion needed. So next topic, Peyton Manning apparently has turned down the Monday Night Football job. So they were kind of courting him to replace Jason Witten, and apparently he turned them down. So he's not going to be calling Monday Night Football. Uh, what are your thoughts on that? Because I honestly was
Well,
kind of hoping he would, just because I feel like he'd be really bad.
what? Who?
Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning. I'm trying to imagine what that would sound like. It would be so southern. I feel. I feel as though he would just like make random references to like food.
Yeah, you know what's weird is that the okay, so you ever hear
He'd
Eli Manning
mumble a
talk?
lot. Yeah,
What?
he kind of sounds. He's Eli's different.
Yeah, it's like Peyton Manning talks with this super southern accent, and Eli Manning just talks like a normal human being. So like, I don't, I don't know if like
Clearly, that's why
Peyton's,
Eli Manning's the goat.
I don't know if just like Peyton's accent is fake, or if Eli's is fake, or if I don't know. I don't honestly know,
They
but
don't. They probably didn't grow up in the same place as a child.
I think they did though. I mean, there's a significant age gap between them, but I think they did grow up together. But anyway, um, yeah, I was hoping Peyton Manning would get this job because he just would be really bad at it, and that would be fun to watch. Um,
For a season and for like two
for a
games
season,
until you realize, oh god, we have 14 more of these.
yeah, I
Ooh.
I think you're right, but I just remember shortly after he retired, he was in the booth during a Broncos game that I was watching. I think they were playing in prime time, and he was just like in the booth, and he was just like, he was so terrible. He was basically just being a fan. Like every time the Broncos offense would make a good play, he'd be like, "Yeah, there you go, good, nice," you
I
know, stuff like that. It's like you can't do that if you're gonna call a game.
mean, you can.
Yeah, but
Absolutely can.
you have to. If you're gonna do that, though, you have to be the local broadcast, and football doesn't have local TV broadcasts like that. They just pick up the national stuff. So anyway, no Peyton Manning on Monday night. Um, so moving on,
Mm-hmm.
TJ Yeldon is headed to Buffalo. Um, what do you think about this? Because I don't know a lot about TJ Yeldon, um, but he was a Jaguar. So what are your thoughts?
First rounder. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a good running back. He's really good.
hmm.
He's on the downward end of his career.
Is he?
He could in a system where he's not starting full time, he'll be fine. He's a solid guy. He gets open. He's really good for the pass game, so I think he'll be good for Josh Allen. But at the end of the day, like it's one of those the Jaguars won't need him. You won't really see a lot of him when you. eh, I think he'll be a factor in games, not a big one. He's just somebody who you swing to the outside and use a check down. He's very good at check downs.
Hmm. Well, I mean I guess that's a good fit for the Bills then, but they still have LaShawn McCoy, and they also have Frank Gore, who they added this offseason, and I feel like
Dude,
one
that
of those.
that core of Frank Gore, LaShawn McCoy.
I mean, yeah, that looks great 5, 10 years ago, but you know those guys are well past their prime now. But I feel like now I'm worried for Frank Gore's job security with Yeldon coming in. Um,
No,
and
no.
I really
I
like Frank
really
Gore, but I don't know if he's gonna be able to.
LaShawn McCoy I would worry about more than Frank Gore. I
Well,
think that
that's
just cuts into playtime. I don't think it's anything else.
the thing about McCoy is that he is still a huge cap hit for the Bills, so they could save a lot of money by cutting him. Um, that said, I don't think they will.
He'll win them like a few games, but then get hurt, and then their whole offense falls apart.
Hmm.
I wonder if he has another 100, 200 yard game in him, but I don't think
Yeah.
he does. If it does come, it's against the Dolphins. Like I can just see the Dolphins like late in the season. Sean McCoy comes back from another injury out of nowhere, and I mean, hey, we can look at the schedule now, I guess. So let's see.
Yeah, we can. In fact, I was just about to pull up the Bills and see.
Let's see. The Bills play the
Yeah.
Dolphins week 7 and week 11. That week
Yep.
that week 11 one, I can see that. Hmm. Interesting. Interesting.
Well,
Man, this spreadsheet still looks really nice. I'm so glad.
yeah, thanks. Well, we'll talk about that more when we
Yeah,
get
we.
through these last
Mhm.
couple news items.
Mhm.
Um, so if you remember a few weeks ago, I mentioned that Johnny Manziel has decided he's just going by John now.
Yeah, and
Well,
you're the only person I've heard that from. So,
right. Well, okay. He said that in an interview with Dan Patrick, but
all right.
now apparently he was confronted in Hollywood by a TMZ reporter, and the reporter was like, "Hey, are you John now?" And Manziel said, "I'm Johnny for life." So
Interesting. Wow. So what's riveting reporting?
yeah,
Oh,
so
man,
let's
not only
keep
is it
tracking
TMZ.
this story because this is fascinating.
of course.
I
Oh
mean,
man.
this represents like now, not to make light of the fact that Johnny has struggled with substance abuse issues, but
Yeah, let's make light of it. Like, come on.
let's go ahead. Let's make light of it. I feel like the saying "I'm John now" was like him he's been like clean and sober for a couple months now, and like he's getting his
I
life
know.
back on track. And
And
now
then
he
he.
says, "I'm Johnny for life." I feel like he has backslid and he is deep in the depths of addiction again. Uh, I I I feel like we might lose him. He's
Such a figure.
I I don't know. I do remember saying back when he was still with the Browns having all these issues, I was just like, I don't know what he's going to be as a football player, but I just hope that he doesn't end up dead. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I still kind of feel that way. Like at this point, I don't care what he does uh in the in whatever is left of his football career. I just hope that he lives to be an old person, which I don't know. I don't know how likely that is.
Yeah, but we talk about football here, and I don't know who this Johnny Manziel is, but it doesn't sound like a football player.
Yeah. Um
We only talk about football in this podcast, I swear. Only.
well, I'm going to tie it back to football here because Johnny Manziel's former team, the Cleveland Browns, have publicly stated now that they do not plan to honor the trade request from Duke Johnson that we mentioned a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So Duke Johnson asked to be traded, and apparently the Browns have said, no, we're not going to trade you. Um, and for what it's worth, Johnson has now skipped voluntary workouts, but I mean, that doesn't matter. Um, so I honestly I don't think anything is going to happen with this story. Like I think that Johnson will just show up for training camp and everything will be fine. But
The locker room is gonna break because of Duke Johnson Jr. That's gonna ruin the Cleveland Browns year. It's gonna all be his fault. Watch.
okay, I by the way, if it sounds like I'm bumping my mic like repeatedly, I'm not. My cat is. So,
I haven't heard anything. You're fine.
okay. She like keeps trying to she's trying to get between the mic and my face. Um so anyway, I'm sorry if that happens.
Oh, that's
But
okay. It's always the only acceptable time when your mic can be fucked is via a feline.
mhm. But anyway, yeah, the Duke Johnson situation, I don't think, like I said, I don't think anything's going to happen, but it's an interesting situation to just kind of watch and see how it plays out.
I doubt Duke Johnson thinks anything's gonna happen.
Yeah. Um and like I said when we first talked about this story, I really think that it's a mistake for Johnson to want out of there. I think he should stick around because I think he has a role in that offense.
Mm-hmm.
Like at least for the first 8 weeks
I
of the
agree.
season, at least for the first 8 weeks with no Kareem Hunt, he's I think he's going to have a big role. And then even when Hunt comes back, you don't really know what he's going to be. So I feel like Johnson
Okay.
has
Okay. I don't like that angle of you never know what a player who has played in the league for a few years is going to be. We know what he's going to be. 90% sure we know he's going to be.
well,
There
okay.
sure, there's a
My
10%
point is
chance, but that's not.
a lot of times when players come back from a long suspension like this, it takes them a while to get back into playing as their old self, and a
I
lot of
can agree
players
with
never
that, but
do.
Nick
Kareem Hunt is young, and I feel like he'll still get back into he'll get back to the player that we've seen from him eventually. It's just if you're Duke Johnson, I think you look at it as you've got a chance here to still, even when Kareem Hunt is back, carve out a big role for yourself in the offense.
yeah,
So
but
I I feel like he should be trying to stick around, and I questioned him demanding a trade when it happened, and I think the Browns are making the right decision by just not doing anything with him.
I mean, what I think is the Browns' plan is that Nick Chubb is going to be their starter full time. I don't think Kareem Hunt's a better running back than Nick Chubb is.
Well,
Like, I don't
maybe,
think he's
but
ever proven that he is.
I think that in today's NFL, you don't really have a starting running back
You
much
have
anymore.
you have a rotation. It's
You have a
rotation
rotation, and
based
it's
on
really,
scheme, based on play call, based on the flow of the game. Like, there's a lot of factors that can go
yeah,
into who's starting on a certain play, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the best guy.
exactly. And I feel like even with Hunt and Chubb in the mix, Johnson still has a role. I feel like he's still going to get play on passing downs, at the very least, because he's very good in the passing game. And you can get, I'm sure you could get situations too where they put two of them in the backfield at the same time, and
Yeah.
you know that sort of thing. So I anyway, we've talked enough about the Browns backfield for right now, but that offense does look good, um, with all the pieces they have. So, um, moving on from the Browns, so the Jets, they hold the number 3 overall pick in the draft.
Yeah, they do.
Apparently, they are aggressively trying to trade down. So they really want somebody to come up to 3 and take that pick from them, because they gave up a lot of draft capital last year to move up to 3 to take Darnold. So they are trying to sort of recover some of that lost value.
They want to get a lot of rookies in. Don't they have 10 picks this draft though?
No, they don't.
Here, I need
Actually,
to look.
I don't think they have very many draft picks because they had to surrender so many to go get Darnold last year.
Here, draft week reminder of number of picks for each team. They have 6.
They have 6, yeah.
So that's below average. To be average is 7 to 8.
Well,
Uh,
I guess the average price would be exactly 7 because there are 7 rounds.
yeah, but most. Okay, yes, but like. Yeah.
No, no. Do the math here.
No,
There's
you're right,
there's
but like
32 teams.
there are 32
32
teams.
times
Everyone
7.
gets 7 picks, and stop it.
But actually, no. Wait, I'm sorry. You were right the first time though. 7 to 8 because there are compensatory picks, which I forgot about. Um. So yeah, that does add players to the draft. You were right.
Oh man. So, by the way, fun fact:
Compensatory picks are so dumb, honestly. Like I hate compensatory picks.
are they
Like if
always like 7th round picks?
no, they're usually like third or fourth or something.
By the way,
That yeah.
before we go on, before I forget to do this, I'm gonna name teams, all the teams with 10 or more draft picks next year. Teams that I think are gonna have I think,
Wait, in this coming draft or in
yeah,
the
yeah.
okay. Yep.
Buffalo, that makes
Buffalo.
sense.
Yep.
Arizona, that makes sense.
Now wait a minute though. Both of those teams, Buffalo and Arizona, didn't they both trade up for quarterbacks last year?
Yes,
Or
but they,
actually,
that's
wait, did the Bills trade up for Josh Allen or were they already there to take him?
I think they're already there. I think both the
The Cardinals
Cardinal.
definitely traded up though.
All right,
Um,
yeah, but they still have 10 picks.
actually, did they?
There are
I'm gonna
two
look it up
other
instead of
teams.
speculating.
All right,
Go ahead.
there are 2 other teams with 10 picks. Uh, I want you to actually guess these 2 teams because I think you're going to get one.
You want me to guess the teams that have 10 or more picks?
Yes. Well, there's 2 more with 10 exactly. The
Oh, with
teams
10
that are
exactly.
above are New England, New York Giants. The New York Giants one with 12 picks. That's interesting. At 11,
That
there's
is.
Cincinnati. And then there are 2 other teams. One of them is Pittsburgh. Then there's the other one that I think you're going to get.
Well, um, did you say the Raiders?
I had not. The Raiders are at 8.
The Raiders are at 8, really. I thought they had more picks. The Browns don't have a ton of picks anymore because
They have 8.
Yeah. Is it the Packers?
It is the Packers.
Okay.
The Packers have 10
I know they
picks.
have 2 first-rounders. Um,
That's pretty big for the Packers. They should win this
of
draft.
course, that second first-rounder came from the Saints, so it's not a high pick at all because the
They
Saints
don't
went to
need
the
a high
NFC
pick. They just need
Championship.
to keep upgrading at skill positions.
Yeah.
And high picks are usually for either like the best defensive guy or quarterbacks. All they need to do is get a wide receiver. They need another guy. They need another running back. They should draft a running back in the first round. One of them should at least
No,
be a running back.
the thing is,
Because
there's not a
Aaron
good
Jones is
running
not a
back.
starter.
Okay, first of all, yes, he is.
No,
Secondly,
he needs someone else out there. We just talked about how running backfields need to not be one-dimensional and how they need to have depth. Williams is not depth. I am sorry.
okay,
That guy is a
agreed.
bust. That guy is terrible. They only have one guy in the backfield, and that's Aaron Jones because they got rid of Ty. And I understandably so was that guy. But you cannot build a backfield around Aaron Rodgers with only one guy. I can't buy it. Cannot buy this guy.
Okay, I agree that we need more than just Aaron Jones in our backfield. We need another competent
And a
guy.
first-round pick should be used on it.
However, there's not a lot of good running backs in the top of this draft. There's only like one or two, I think, that are projected to go in the first round.
And they should get him.
Well,
That's
I mean, we'll see. We'll
they
see.
need a
But
guy that goes in between the tackles and picks up Frank Gore yards.
I would be content, honestly, if the Packers just picked up like one or two guys in the mid rounds for the backfield, or if they just went and signed like a veteran or two. But there's not a whole lot of
they need a
veteran
young
free agents
guy.
left.
Don't get a veteran. Don't let a guy that lasts only 2 years. Make a running back last 4. I don't like this veterans with running backs, especially because running backs are so disposable.
Okay, I looked up information, by the way, on last year's draft, and
All right.
the Bills did trade up to 7 to take Allen. That was Tampa Bay's spot initially, and the Cardinals did trade up to 10 to get Josh Rosen. That was Oakland's spot. So it's interesting that those teams still have a lot of picks after doing that.
I don't think it's that interesting. Remember, they got a lot of picks over the years.
Yeah.
Especially the Raiders. They've been, and with all the people that they've just given away, especially with Khalil and Amari, it makes a lot of sense, I think.
All right. So shall we move on? The whole what got us into that was that the Jets are looking to trade out of the number 3 pick to get some of that draft value back.
Uh-huh.
So we'll see how that goes. I feel like they'll find somebody to move up. But anyway,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. I have no idea what's going to happen with this draft, and I'm just excited to see what happens. Like the draft is always fun because you never know what is going to happen, and then when it does happen, you have no idea if it was a good decision for anybody involved. Like it's just fun because we don't know anything. And
I think
me,
Packers. Another reason why I don't think we've talked about this a lot, but I think Rodgers is mad this year.
yeah,
And he's always played his best when he's angry. He's always played it when people are talking his best, when people talk shit about him. He's always he's a competitor, so whenever he starts getting really fired up, it's like, oh boy. I think next year we're going to see a glorious record-setting year.
Yeah, I certainly hope so.
And he'll only have one guy with him, and that's going to be disgusting. God. Packers better draft another wideout or another running back.
Well,
They have
the thing is, they still have some young wideouts that they're trying to develop. So I think we're okay at that position right now.
They were nothing last year. They didn't show any promise. They didn't show any growth. Throughout every game, they
I
played the exact same. They were underwhelming.
I'm willing to kind of throw out a lot of last year's results because,
Not for them. Not they had no excuse for playing as
well,
shit in the routes
I
as they
think
did.
that I think that a lot of it is Aaron Rodgers. Actually, I think that
No,
I
it's no.
if we go back to that Tyler Dunn article, which I don't want to dwell on, but
Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't say
according to
anything.
that article, Rodgers was deliberately freezing out some of the young guys who weren't running the right routes and stuff like that. And I don't know if if
It
that's
doesn't
true or
mean
not.
anything. It doesn't.
If it's true, then that would certainly hurt their chances to develop as players. Um,
If
but
if they're not competitors and then they shouldn't be there. That's just they don't seem like guys who actually are there to win. If they were there to win, they wouldn't just be rolling on their side that easy. If that's actually like what if that's the be all end all, no. That article means nothing. There is zero weight in that article. There was
all right,
nothing. I've
I
never read an article like that and thought, man, everything here is the truth. I've
well, and
said, man, maybe there's 2% of the truth here, and
I
I'm
don't
never gonna
think it
take
is
it in.
true. But the point, what I really am trying to say is that last year's offense was pretty broken. And I
But it
feel
wasn't the receiver's fault. The
no,
receiver's
and
fault for being broken is because they're shit. Because they're bad at what they do, and they should feel bad, and they should be fired for being bad at their job. That's what happens.
I think that they and the guys that we're talking about here are Valdez Scantling, St. Brown, and to an
Geronimo.
extent, no, Geronimo I think is himself. The other guy we're
Geronimo
talking
was
about is
really disappointing.
to a small extent Kumaro. Um, and Kumaro I know was not a rookie, but young player. This was first real chance to do anything. He got hurt and missed most of the season. Uh, but I I think that those three guys deserve another year. Let's see what they do in a new offensive scheme. I don't think we need to spend too many draft picks on more wide receivers. Like, I could understand somehow if somehow one of these top wide receivers fell to where the Packers are. I believe they picked 14 or something in the middle of the first round. Like, if one of these top prospects fell to the Packers, I could see taking him. But I don't think we need to go and draft another 2 or 3 wide receivers in the mid to late rounds.
Yeah, you do. You need to find none of these guys are gonna be as good as Jordy Nelson ever was, as Greg Jennings was, and that's what you need. You need another guy. And because you guys don't have another
Well,
guy and are just one-dimensional, you guys are going to get 11 wins and then
the thing is,
lose like every
the
year.
Packers need, like you said, the Packers need another guy. And I think that we have several guys who have the chance to still be that other guy, and we need to give
No.
them another year to prove it.
Oh man. I hate that, man. I hate the mentality of just give them another chance. Because players don't change. I've never looked at a guy and actually seen growth that's been as extreme as what you're really looking for. Like,
I'm sorry. I can come up with several examples.
I really can't.
Do you know where Tom Brady was drafted?
I know where Tom Brady was drafted, but this
Do you
is
know
several
do
years
you know
in
where
their
Antonio
career.
Brown was drafted to
This
go to
is
a wide
several
receiver
years into
example?
people's careers.
Yeah, and you're willing to write these guys off after one
Yes.
season.
Yes, I am. I don't believe.
You contradicted yourself just now.
No.
You're
Once
like,
you're in the NFL and you're a skill position, you show everything when you're on that field. I don't think you can improve that much. I think that once you hit like a certain age, like 22, 23, that's as good as you're getting on a skill position like wide receiver, running back, unless if you're a truly great player who shows themselves as a prospect. Otherwise, no, you don't really change. I can't think of a guy that was like 2 or 3 years into their career who was a wide receiver who has been a starter for all those times, who has several hours of film on them now in the NFL, and they magically just got better. Usually, the type of players who in their second or third year are good in those skill positions are those who were behind guys who learned behind, who were like the second or third string. And they got a chance to be on every play for several games, several parts of that year, and they sucked. That is bad. That's just a bad sign. And I'm much more willing to like run the tape, like to just scrap everything on wide receivers and running backs than I am on any other position, because there is no shortage of those guys.
all right. Well, we disagree on this issue, but we'll just see what happens. Um, I I think that the Packers will likely bring in a couple guys, but I don't think that they're going to go overboard and draft like, 3 or 4 wide receivers and running backs. I think they might draft one of each in the mid to late rounds. But anyway, um, moving on from that, let's see, what else do I have in news? Okay, I think the only thing that I have left is the Patriots signed Demaryius Thomas.
All right.
Um, I've always liked Demaryius Thomas.
That's a perfect fit for him. That is perfect.
The Patriots need somebody. He's obviously coming off a devastating injury, so we'll see if he's actually there week 1 or if he's just not able to play. But I mean, it is a good fit. If there was anywhere for him to succeed, it would be New England. So,
It's perfect. There is not a single better team for Demaryius Thomas at this point in his career.
yeah, I agree with you. So I feel like that's a good signing for the Pats. Okay, so now we can finally get into the schedule news. So the NFL schedule, the 2019 regular season schedule, has been released. And in a corresponding move, I reordered our spreadsheet of all of our predictions and put all the
Beautiful.
games in schedule order.
So beautiful. It's so beautiful.
So
So pretty.
we've already gone over our predictions for 5 of the 8 divisions. So of those teams that we've already gone over, I wanted to just kind of look at a few of them.
Some highlight matches.
Okay, you know what? Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. I wrote down a bunch of highlight matches also. And if I had had more time this morning, I would have put them in order, but oh well. But anyway, we'll go over those first. So I like the Browns are going to be in prime time 3 times early in the season.
Yep. Wow, yeah, they are. That Jets
playing
rematch.
Week 2 at the Jets. That's going to be a fun game. I'm really looking forward to that one. That's Monday Night Football.
That's going to be a good ass game, and I think people are gonna. That's going to be a. Here, if you guys are betting, bet on the Jets that day. Bet on the Jets. That is going to be a fantastic line for them. They're going to have like 7 or 8 point underdogs, and I think it's going to be a 3-point game. I think it will just be a very close, tight-knit game early of the season where the Browns are trying to gel still, and the Jets are going to come out of the gate swinging.
Yeah, that's a fun game
And it's
to
going to
look
be in
forward.
New York. Oh,
I'm
I
really
would have
I'm
my money
excited
on the
for that
Jets.
one. And then the Browns are also playing at home against the Rams the following week on Sunday Night Football. And
Yep.
then a couple weeks later at 49ers week 5 Monday
We have
night.
them losing in prime time 3 games in a row.
I know. That's kind of sad. Like if you look at our prediction for it,
And
you
then
know,
we
we
have them
have the
going
Browns.
on a 7-1 tear at the second half of the season.
I know. That's what's so crazy is that they're going to start out 3 and what? 3
6,
and
but
3 and 5.
3 and 5, and they're gonna play against some of the hardest. Look at the schedule. They have to play Ravens, playoff team last year. Seahawks, playoff team. Those are their wins. Titans. They were 1 game off the playoffs last year. So those are 3 teams that should theoretically, in theory, I don't think a lot of those teams are going to be good, but in theory, there still should be strong matchups. You got the Jets, really high on the Jets. They're going to lose against them. Rams, really high on the Rams again. Everyone's really high. They had Super Bowl. They made the Super Bowl, everything. That's a loss. All right, 49ers. We're always high on the 49ers.
Yep.
God damn it. All right, that's the only arguable one, I would believe. But then you got the Patriots, Super Bowl champions. You know, the Broncos, the best home field advantage in the league.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be one of the hardest. If they can come up with 3 or 4 wins in that stretch, they win. They make the playoffs. They win the division.
What sucks about the schedule order though for the Browns is that everybody is so in love with the Browns right now, and if they start the season 3 and 5, a lot of people are going to jump off that bandwagon. And
Good.
okay, that's fine.
That's going to make the storyline
I'm
at the
just
end of the year
worried.
so much better.
I'm just worried that the whole again, with a team like this, you worry about the locker room, and
I
I
don't.
just worry that if the media is saying what happened to the Browns, we thought they were going to be good, now they're terrible. I just feel like that could create some problems, and I'm really
No.
hoping the Browns can survive that.
Like, people do get affected by like shit like that, but I think the Browns will be a competitive team. I don't think they'll be one that just starts laying over and dying. I think what they
Like
will
I
do,
don't think they're going to lay down and die, but
I think they'll get mad, and I think the locker room will be fired up, if anything, and that will actually make it so one of these games against the Rams, Patriots, Broncos, Jets, one of those, they're gonna fucking fist one of these teams. Like,
by the way, did you put the Browns up on the screen for people to see?
I did not,
Okay.
because the reason why I didn't is because schedules are out, guys. Google search Browns schedule. Like Google search Browns schedule.
Well, I did want
and
to
we've
talk about them, but anyway,
since we're doing highlight games, I didn't do it, but later,
yeah.
These we're
But
just
we
going
kind
through
of
really specific games, and we kind of just
digressed into just talking about the Browns and their whole schedule, which
yeah.
I wanted to get back to anyway. But okay, other games to highlight. So the season opener, of course, is Packers at Bears, and then the Sunday Night Football opener is Steelers at Patriots. So instead of being the opening game as Super Bowl champions, the Patriots host the first Sunday night game. So that was, I mean, it's interesting that they're doing that. I'm fine with it. The
What I like
Steelers,
about
though,
this
why
is
are
that,
they doing the Steelers?
what I like about this. Well, to be fair, Steelers have a huge fan base, a loyal fan base.
I mean, yes.
And in prime time, this might be one of the only times they get to be in prime time all year.
Let's check. The Steelers have 5 primetime games, Bryce.
They could. Some of those are subject to change, like the Thursday night, Monday night.
Okay, first of all, they never change the Thursday night games.
Never really.
You can't flex out of Thursday night, and I don't think you can flex out of Monday night either. The only one that is actually Actually,
Chargers.
no, literally none of them are subject to change. They will play all of these primetime games.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Why is what? That
Why
they
can't?
can't flex out of Thursday?
No,
Because
why
it
can't they
screwed
flex out of the Chargers game, for example?
too early in the season.
Oh, okay. Now,
I
all right.
The flexing rules are stupid. I feel like they should be able to flex more, but the teams always fight that because it screws with their schedules. But anyway, um,
But yeah, what's interesting about the Patriots schedule is that we have them winning 6 in a row in the beginning of the season, which is really
we'll talk about that in a minute. One of the teams I wanted to hit. Um, so other notable games. I'm looking forward to Colts at Chiefs Sunday night, Week 5. That'll be a fun one.
huh. Yeah.
Yeah. The Thanksgiving slate this year, we have the Bears at Lions, which is the same matchup as last year. Uh, the Bills at Dallas, and then Saints at Falcons on Thanksgiving night, which that's always a fun matchup. The Saints and
Bills at
Falcons.
Dallas. What the
I don't know. I really don't know.
If the Bills win that game. I mean, okay, no.
I don't
Actually,
get
no,
it.
I get it. Bills have like
But
the fifth largest
anyway,
fan base. Like the
then
Bills
we've
actually
got,
have
let's
a
see.
huge fan base for how bad their team is.
Patriots at Jets, Week 7, Monday night. So here's the thing about it seems like when they put the Patriots in prime time, a lot of the time they put them at home, and I wish they would have more primetime road matchups.
They
And
have 3.
This one at the Jets is going to be
They have
real
3.
interesting.
3 of the 5 are away.
Middle of the season. I like that.
3 out of 5 are away for the Patriots this year. 3 out of 5. They're not at home. Oh. Hello? What's
Are
going
you
on?
still able to hear me, Bryce?
I am here. I can hear you. Your mic quality just went really down.
Okay.
Anyway. Yeah. I think dude, again, another one of those where you bet on the Jets. This year, bet on the Jets in games like this. You're going to make a lot of money. I can guarantee it. Oh, man.
Okay. Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, your quality is terrible still. He can't hear me, apparently. I think it's his input output. I'm gonna tell him that. One sec.
Okay. Do you hear me now?
You're back. You're a little quiet. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. What I was saying is that they have the Patriots. You said that they tend to be at home in prime time, but 3 of the 5 primetime games they are actually away.
This time, yeah, and I'm looking forward to that Jets matchup in particular. That'll be fun.
Yeah, that one. Again, bet on the Jets. Bet on the Jets this year.
I really hope that they're good.
With those shitty uniforms, anyone can be good.
Okay.
It's gonna be like that scene in Dodgeball where they're all in the BDSM gear and they just whoop ass. Imagining Sam Darnold
Oh man.
and Le'Veon Bell.
Okay, so let's see. The Steelers Chargers rematch is going to be Sunday night, week 6. That's bound to be a fun
That's
game.
another one. Yeah, last year we got a lot of good Rivers faces.
Yep. That was a really fun game last year to watch. I hope it's good again.
Yeah.
Let's see. Week 11. Chiefs at Chargers is going to be on Monday night, and it's going to be in Mexico City.
Yep.
Uh,
One player dies. I'm predicting it. One player gets shot. One player gets shot. I predict it. That's a terrible thing to predict.
Yeah, last year the Rams-Chiefs game was supposed to be in Mexico City and got moved because of field conditions, so we'll see
and then ended up being one of the best games of all time.
Yeah, I know.
In a regular
Imagine
season.
if that game had happened in Mexico.
Mexico would want us back. They would want
yeah.
more games.
So, anyway, that seems like it'll be a fun one. And I like the move for the Chargers to host an international game and lose a home game because they don't have a home field. So
they tend to do that every year.
Yeah. Let's see. And I'm kind of jumping around the schedule here, but week 16, Chiefs at Bears, Sunday Night Football. That could be interesting. Especially given our predictions about what these two teams are going to do.
I don't know how the Chiefs are actually going to do with Tyreek Hill and still in deep water. I think the Chiefs could actually fall pretty hard.
Yeah.
But I think that fall pretty hard for them would be like only 10 wins.
Mm-hmm.
Which isn't bad.
Week 11, the Bears and Rams rematch in LA on Sunday night. That'll be interesting too. That game was
one of these games is going to disappoint heavily though. I think the game I'm actually most excited for is the Chiefs Lions. Honestly, that week 4 game.
I'm fascinated by that. Why the hell did we predict that? And then if we're right, oh my god. But anyway,
watch it be that we couldn't be farther from the truth, and like it's Chiefs 42, Lions 3.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, cool. Glad we knew that we were wrong after the fact.
Yeah. So the next one I have written down is okay, week 13, Monday Night Football, Vikings at Seahawks. And I think I'm only interested in this matchup because I just know it's going to be a blowout and the Vikings are going to get killed in prime time in Seattle.
That's a very odd game to pick out of the bunch.
Like I like to see the Vikings lose hard, and I'm hoping they lose hard in prime time.
When it comes to the Vikings doing poorly, you are a sadist.
Mm-hmm. Back to early in the season, week 2, Eagles at Falcons on Sunday night. That looks like a fun one. I think last year they played the season opener because the Eagles were the Super Bowl champions. And that was a fun game, although disappointing in some ways. So that looks like a good one. Week 4, Saints at Cowboys on Sunday night, or excuse me, Cowboys at Saints. That looks interesting because both of those teams were good this past year, and I think we have them both kind of crashing this year. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that game because it's still one where like both teams have very high hopes, and maybe they're still pretty evenly matched.
Who can fuck up the least?
Yeah,
That's gonna be whoever makes the least mistakes wins.
yeah. Well, and that's
Not
kind of
the
how that game was this past year. The Saints were expected to go into Dallas and win, and Dallas held their offense, I think, to 10 points. They won like 13-10 or something. Um, so it should be another interesting game. And here's another one. Week 15, Colts at Saints on Monday night. That one I think is only interesting if we're wrong about the Saints, because we have the Saints being mediocre, and if we're wrong and they're still good, then that's a really interesting matchup.
hmm.
Um, let's see what else do I have here highlighted.
I like highlight top 3 games for next year. Let's see. So of the ones so far,
Oh, I hang on. I've got a couple others.
don't look at the. Don't tell them off if they are in the the. Which divisions do we have left? Did we do the South? The NFC South?
We have the South, East, and West. We're doing the NFC South today.
Yeah.
Um, I okay. I do want to say, um, the only other one I really wanted to mention is Week 16. We haven't gotten to these teams yet, but Week 16, Rams at 49ers. If we're right about these teams and the direction that they're headed, that could be a huge, huge game.
That decides number 1 seed and number 5 seed, doesn't it?
um, I think.
Oh my god,
Wait.
it does. It does, because if every prediction is correct, which obviously it will be, that prediction right there, the 49ers
Yep.
will have won that game and secured the first seed, and the Rams will be forced to be 15 no matter what. So, and then them losing to the Seahawks away, week 17 makes a lot of sense because they would sit all their players.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
We're gods. We knew this would happen, guys.
So that could be a huge, huge game. So okay, and by the way, that's like a candidate to get flexed into Sunday night for sure. Um. So
What's TGNF?
oh, Thanksgiving night football.
Is that actually what like it's called?
No, that's just my own acronym that I made up.
I was like,
Um.
we've never heard of that.
So specific teams that I wanted to look at. So we already talked about the Browns. You want to pull up the Jags page next?
I haven't really been. I've been just kind of scrolling through them. I haven't been showing anything on screen.
Well, I mean, maybe you should put the Jaguars on screen, or maybe we should just tell them to look it up.
Here, I can. Come on, give me the properties of this. Aw, Streamlabs don't. There we go. Caught up to me. That was weird. Okay, what I can do is I can go pull up. It won't have them in order. It'll be the old screenshot that we used here.
Why?
Well-
Why can't you do this one?
Well, because I don't want to snip it.
But Bryce, you should.
You're right. I'll do it. Fine. The Jaguars, you said?
Yeah. Well, and I don't have anything in to say, but I just kind of wanted to get your reaction on their schedule.
All right, here we go. Making me do all the work, clearly. Yeah, just... Here we go. I'll just replace that image, go to properties. Oh, man. All right, there we go. I think that's... Then we can just... Gotta lower. There we go. All right. Jaguars. This is very helpful. Mid-season bursts of just October, like going undefeated in October, winning, and then going on a bye and losing 2 in a row. Jesus. I don't want that. I don't want to go on a bye and lose. But then, ending the season on a high note like that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this is gonna be the most stressful schedule of all time. What the fuck?
By the way, what's interesting here too is that we know that the Titans kind of own the Jaguars, but
In prime time.
in prime time on Thursday night,
I saw that.
One of my favorite NFL traditions over the last few years is the Jaguars Titans Thursday night football matchup, and it's interesting though.
Been in prime time for like the last 3 years.
Yeah, it seems that way at least. I don't know for sure, but yeah, it's the Jaguars are hosting that game this time, so maybe maybe they win that, or maybe the Titans upset them. We'll see. And by the way, I have decided that when we go through this in the regular season and we track it, if we predict a split and the road teams win when we had the home teams winning, I will just switch the predicted results so that they line up with the actual results.
Of course. Yeah, like that,
because like we're predicting a split. We don't actually care which team wins, whether they win at home or on the road, we don't care. So
I would still say it counts, yeah.
Anyway, so it's possible that those Titans results could flip for the Jags. And then, then your late season run doesn't look quite so bad.
I think it's fine. I think like going 4-3, second half of the season. Yeah, I you know what? God, weeks 11 and 12 are going to make me sad if this is true. Like, it'll be 3 weeks, basically, and just no Jaguars wins, and I'll feel like, well, we might be like 6-4 team, 7-4 team, 6-4.
If you look at it too, the Colts going into that Week 11 game, the Colts are going to be. Let's see. Yeah, they have the early bye, so I can't do math though. Yeah, they're a 9-1 team against the Jaguars, who are 8-2 going into that game. So that's a pretty big game.
That might be flexed, yeah.
Yeah, and if our predictions pan out, which they won't, but that ends up being a pretty big game, and then I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. Hey, if they win,
if the Jaguars win that's huge for their momentum going forward, and then of course, naturally they would fall flat on their face against the Titans the next week, because that's just the Jaguars.
Everyone will be really happy, and then
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Can you vamp for 1 second?
Vamp for 1 second. I will vamp for 1 more second.
Just talk about the Jaguars or something. I don't know.
Well, Nick Foles seems to be someone who could rally people together. So, I mean, going 2-2 to start, having some rough losses, but winning in prime time, he's someone who, with Jalen Ramsey, probably could unite and rally. God, this is going to be, that Jets game not being in prime time is going to be different. Texans in London, I probably won't even be awake for that one because I'll be sleeping in, like I did this year, where I just missed it and then I just watched the rest on my phone and cried when they lost against the Eagles. Ah, man. I'm very scared. That's all I can say. Oh, man. However, the champion roadmap's out? The champion roadmap is out. Way back, champion team and champion update team combined into one super force. We could work on whatever we felt like most. Let's see. We got a new champion coming out. Visual.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Oh. All right.
Okay, so the next team that I wanted to look at, you want to pull up the Patriots?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. There it goes. They're on
Okay,
screen. You got, again, another primetime schedule.
So, yeah, we tried to give them that early season loss that they always seem to have in September, and I think we were hoping that the Chiefs would be that team.
Why the Steelers? I have no idea.
Well,
It's
yeah, I don't know
maybe
why
it's the
they.
fan bases. Maybe it's now you got to prove it, Steelers.
I think they feel like they're going well, NFL 100 seasons. Let's start out the season with Packers and Bears because they're the oldest teams, and then Sunday Night Football. Let's do the teams that have the most Super Bowls between them.
Is it the 100th season?
Yeah, that's why they're doing the Packers Bears thing.
That's really cool. I thought that the
Um,
Cardinals were also really old, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe it's because the Cardinals are just bad.
Yeah, that's
they
probably
get
it.
vetoed.
But okay, so if we had to redo this now that we know the schedule, where would we put that? I think we would still have the Patriots being 13-3, but where
The Jets.
would we put? We have them get swept by the Jets, maybe.
They get owned by the Jets this season. That would be really interesting, actually.
Well, or I mean, this could still be accurate if the Jets and Patriots split flips. Like if the Jets win that Week 3 game and then the Patriots win Week 7 on Monday night, we could still be right about the rest of these, and they could have that early season loss.
Yeah. But I still think I think the Jets could 2-0 easy. I think the Jets have a high probability of sweeping the Patriots.
I mean, that's possible for sure, but the prediction that I'm really uncertain of now is the Chiefs in Week 14, because a December game at home against the Chiefs, I don't feel like the Patriots are going to lose that game.
Hey, if we're right.
Yeah. But I mean, anyway. Yeah, it's the Patriots, I feel like, are going to 13-3 seems like the right result. I just am not convinced that any of these games that we've predicted are going to be the right result individually.
Nah.
Okay, so the next do you have any more thoughts on the Patriots schedule, because we can move on otherwise?
No, the Patriots are kind of boring to talk about.
Yeah. The next team that I highlighted was the Broncos. Just because their results end up being really amusing, if you want to pull them up.
Oh, you mean the big loss streak?
Yeah, because do you have them on the screen now?
I don't have on the stream, but But if I pull them up, I think I'm having an Easter candy. Like, what is it? Like, crash. Yeah, I'm crashing right now. I've had a lot of Easter candy. But yeah, now they're on screen. That's why I'm kind of getting droopy all of a sudden.
Okay. So the reason that I wanted to bring up the Broncos is that we have them starting off 4-2, and like
No,
then yeah,
no.
they start off 4-2.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Wait, I read it as the
Uh,
first 4 game. I don't know. I saw 3-2, and I was like, no, they're 3-2.
We have them after week 6, they're 4-2, and then they completely crash at that point, and they lose. I mean, they lose how many games there? To
5,
week 15.
right? That's a 5-game
Well,
losing
5 in
streak.
a row plus the 2 against the Chiefs and Colts. So they lose 7 of 8 games after starting 4-2.
That sounds like the Broncos, wouldn't you say, Mac?
Yeah,
Losing 7 of 8 after going 4-2.
yeah. It's kind of funny how that works out, and they end up 7-9 because they just, oh man, that's rough. That's a
Monday Night
rough
Football
slide.
2?
Right, yeah. Week 1 has 2 Monday night games.
Huh. That's right.
So the Broncos and Raiders are the second one.
I like week 17 always, where it's like 16 games all playing at the
All on
same time.
Sunday.
Yeah.
I do like that.
That's
Yeah.
my favorite day of football. But it sucks that a lot of the games are throwaway games.
Yeah.
If that was how week 1 was, I think that'd be really hype.
Yep, and then we do have at the end of the season for the Broncos, they pick up 2 meaningless wins against the Lions and Raiders just to screw their draft position.
That's a very Broncos season, honestly. I almost,
Yeah.
Broncos. They could replace the Browns as one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah.
Who would
I
you
would
say, if for the next 5 years, who has the highest probability of being the worst team in the league over those 5 years?
Yeah. It's hard to say.
I don't think it is. I have my pick. I have my pick. I have two of my.
I was going to break down a few different teams who I think have a chance, but if you just want to interrupt me and go with your pick, go.
My top 2 are the Buccaneers, right, and the Dolphins.
The Buccaneers have already kind of been that team, and
I mean they don't.
I kind
show
of
any
I kind of
progress.
agree with you. The Dolphins were another that I was going to say, actually, because we already know they're kind of tanking this year, and if they miss on a quarterback, then that could really screw them.
Bengals are another one, I guess.
The Bengals, but they finally are out of the Marvin Lewis era, so I'm curious to see what they'll do.
You could say
I was
finally
going to-
or unfortunately, depending on how this goes.
Depending, yeah. I was going to mention the Raiders as well. If John Gruden, if they really botch this draft, they could be awful for a decade. Like, seriously.
This is the draft that kind of like decides
They
everything.
need this draft to go well. And the Cardinals are another team that they really need this draft to go well.
I have more confidence in the Cardinals though than the rest, I feel.
I think so too. I think, for all of the like speculation that they're gonna draft Kyler Murray and all that, I think that what'll end up happening is they'll, a day or so before the draft, some team is going to move up to number 1 for that pick and give them a haul, and then hopefully the Cardinals can draft some good players with those picks and rebuild this awful roster around Josh Rosen.
How do you know all the teams with multiple first round picks? I do.
Off the top of my head, I don't, but I could look it up. But why don't you just tell me?
Raiders have
Actually,
3.
wait, let's see how many I can get. I knew the Raiders, and I know the Packers have 2. Um,
There are 2 more.
there are 2 more. Da, da, da.
I
Let's-
guarantee you can't get one of them.
Colts, maybe? Do they have a
Nope,
second one?
that's wrong.
No, because I know that they were the pick that the Jets traded up for to get Darnold.
I don't know if you're gonna get one of these.
Do the Cardinals have a second one? No.
Nope.
I can do this. Come
Okay.
on, I can do this.
Who has the most draft picks this year? It's the Patriots and one other team.
Wasn't it the
You're so forgetful.
Oh my God. Why can't I do this?
It's the Giants is one of them. I'll get all right.
I should have gotten the Giants.
Oh, the one that I didn't think you were gonna get. The Seahawks.
The Seahawks.
I didn't think
they get a second first rounder.
They have the 21st and the 29th overall pick.
Where did they get that extra pick?
Now, there are 5 teams with 0 first-round picks. Can you name at least 3 of those?
The Browns.
Correct.
The Saints.
Correct.
The do the Bills have a first rounder? Yeah, they do.
Come on, there are 3 others. These are all playoff teams from last year.
I can get one. I can get one. I know
I can get one. I can get one.
I can. Oh man.
They all made the playoffs last year, the last 3.
The Colts?
No,
they have a pick.
They have a pick.
Dallas?
Dallas
the Amari
does
Cooper
not.
Trade.
Dallas does not. You're right.
Yeah, the Amari Cooper trade. That's how
the other 2 are the Bears and Chiefs.
Bears and Chiefs, right. Okay, yeah, because the Bears and Chiefs are still reeling from the Patrick Mahomes and Mitchell Trubisky trades.
Yes. One of those benefited way more than the other.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it crazy to think that the Bears, they traded up from 3 to 2 with the 49ers to get Trubisky? And
the 49ers had no plans of getting Trubisky, I don't think.
Well, I think that they scared the Bears into thinking that somebody else was going to move up to 2. But they moved up to 2 to take Trubisky ahead of both Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. Like,
and also
either
Dak
one of
Prescott, I think, right?
Was Dak that same draft too? I don't remember. But he was drafted later by Dallas.
Yeah, he was
drafts.
undrafted.
No, I thought he was like a mid-round pick or like 3rd or something. I mean, we could look it up. We have the internet at our disposal.
Fourth round. He was a 4th rounder, yeah.
Okay.
In the 2016 draft. Which is not, no. Because that's the 2017 draft with Mitch.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm distracted by something. Okay, so moving on. You want to go to the Chiefs?
We have talked a lot about these teams already.
I know, but I wanted to make a point about the Chiefs, I guess. So, if you could pull them up.
I am.
So of course we already talked about their results. They're 13-3, but what's interesting is if it turns out that we're wrong about that crazy prediction for the Lions in week 4, the Chiefs start 10-0.
That one game destroys their 10-0 start. That's hilarious.
Yeah. That's oh.
I want to put real money on that game. I really do. I want to bet the Lions beat the Chiefs in Week 4 randomly, and I just want to make bank out of nowhere. If I do win that, if I do bet on that game and we win, I will buy a Lions jersey.
Really?
And I will wear it every time Lions play the Packers in the storm room. And for Mac, whenever they win, I will rub it in his face. He's standing right behind me, by the way.
Okay. That's still that's just a crazy prediction. That's all I really wanted to say about the Chiefs.
It's a disgustingly crazy. It's a disgusting prediction. Why did we predict it?
The next team that I want to go to is the Lions.
Of course.
Of course. For similar reasons, I want to talk about that same game.
What?
Because
It's my favorite game of the year already, and it hasn't happened.
we already mentioned this earlier in the show, didn't we? That there's a decent chance that Matt Patricia could be fired by mid-October based on their schedule.
Yeah.
Or was that in our pre-podcast discussion?
No, we discussed it here.
Okay. Because, yeah, they are banking a lot. You know, Bryce, I really do think it was pre-podcast that we talked about that.
Really?
Yeah. Basically, the Lions have them starting out 1-5 with a week 5 bye. And if they lose that game to the Chiefs, then of course, or excuse me, 1-4 with a week 5 bye. They're 0-5 if they lose that game to the Chiefs. So they really, really need to beat the Cardinals in week 1 on the road.
And beat the Chiefs.
Well, yeah.
That would actually give him a lot of job security, I think.
Yeah, exactly. If they beat the Chiefs, then I think he's fine. But if
they beat the Cardinals and they beat the Chiefs, and they go 9-7, do you think he gets an extension?
Well, I don't think he's like due for a contract extension, so I think they keep him.
I don't know his contract, honestly. I don't know how long it's entailed.
But I think that he sticks around if they go 9-7. If they go 8-8, which is what we've predicted, it's up in the air. I feel like they'll give him another chance. If they don't finish with a losing record, they'll give Matt Patricia another chance. If they finish like 6-10, maybe they fire him after 2 years.
Yeah.
But anyway, my point is that if they end up losing their first 4 games of the season, then they have a bye week 5, and then they come back week 6 and lose to the Packers on Monday night, I feel like Matt Patricia could get fired after that Monday night game.
Gets fired at halftime.
I almost I feel like if there's coaches most likely to get fired by mid-October, I think Matt Patricia, just based on the Lions' schedule, is up there. Like, it sucks because we have them being an average team, but their schedule to start the year is rough.
He's on a hot seat. Yeah, he's good. An 8-8 team losing to the Cardinals. Funny thing is, that Cardinals game could actually decide if they make the playoffs or not.
Yeah.
That'd be really dumb.
Yeah. So anyway, that I didn't really have anything else to say about the Lions. I did want to move on to the Packers, which are the last team.
Move on to the Packers?
The last team whose schedule I really wanted to highlight is my team, the Packers. And of course there are a couple later on that we haven't talked about our predictions for yet, so obviously we'll talk about them when we get to them. But the Packers' schedule is interesting. Do you have it up?
It's coming up. You can keep talking.
Okay. The Packers' schedule is interesting because I like their primetime games.
They have 5.
They have 5. The Packers always have a lot of primetime games, which, I guess to me, as a fan, I don't mind the Packers having primetime games, but it does bother me when other teams have too many primetime games, and we'll
Gee,
talk
I
about some.
wonder why.
It's mainly like it's the NFC East that I hate how often they're in primetime, but we'll talk about all that when we get to them next week. Um, but the Packers, of course, at Bears in the opener. We have them losing that game, but you know, um, should be a fun one anyway. Week 4, Thursday night against the Eagles. I'm really glad that that game is a home game and Thursday night because I think the Eagles are going to be good, but the fact that the Packers are playing at home on Thursday night football gives them a huge advantage.
It's early in the season though.
That too.
It does suck
Um,
that they always that like 4 of their last 6 are gonna be on the road.
yeah, that is tough.
They tend to always
The
have this problem where they stack road games at the end of the year because no one wants to play in Lambeau.
mm, um the I'm not sure why, honestly, they have that week 6 game against the Lions on Monday night. I don't think it's that exciting of a game.
You
Uh,
never know. The
yeah,
1-4
um,
Lions could come in and sweep.
yeah. Um, then of course week 8 Sunday night at Chiefs. That's a really tough game. I don't expect the Packers to win.
I expect it to be close. The Packers tend to make those games close.
Yeah, they tend not to.
Tend
Primetime
not.
road, yeah, primetime
Uh,
road games, the Packers tend to just get killed. Um,
nah. I
and then
remember Matt Flynn, Patriots. That
that
wasn't.
was an exception.
I
That was an exception.
remember. I remember.
Um, and then their only other primetime game is week 16 at the Vikings on Monday night. So it is interesting though because we have this projected to be a very close division race between the Packers and Bears. We have them both finishing 11-5, and the Bears win the division on the division record tiebreak. But the Packers have 3 division games in the last 3 weeks of the season. They play home against the Bears week 15, and then at Vikings and Lions to close it out. The Packers could be well situated to win the division if they can just win one of those 2 road games.
They go on like a massive 7-game win streak, 6-game win streak, and go like 6-1. Start the year 8-2, and then like have this road streak of like 4 of 6 road games in the latter half of their year, and they just
Mm-hmm.
have to do better than even.
Yeah, and I mean that's been the problem for the Packers. Um, One of the problems that the Packers have had is that they're obviously very good at home, but they have struggled on the road. Last year they only won one road game, and that was the late season game against the Jets. Um, and they went 1-7 on the road last year, which was just awful. And of course, this year we had them predicted as going 3-5 on the road and 8-0 at home. So anyway, um, that's
Mm-hmm.
that's the Packers. That's all I really wanted to say about them. I think we covered pretty much everything.
Yeah. Are you ready to go to Is
Yeah,
it the South today?
yeah. If you don't have anything else to say about anything, we can get right into our predictions. Oh, okay. You can go ahead and pull up the Buccaneers, which are the first team. But I did want to mention. So this next little couple of minutes is going to have some Game of Thrones spoilers for people who aren't caught up. So beware.
Fair enough.
Um, I am now a few episodes into season 5. Um, the last thing that happened before I went to bed last night was
Oh, you had the Hound and Arya already now.
yep,
Which
yep,
is,
the
dude, the
hound's dead.
chickens? The chickens?
The chickens, yeah,
That
that was
scene is
funny.
my favorite scene in the entire show.
I like that scene. That was a good one.
She uses needle.
But anyway, the what I was going to say is I'm on to season 5 now, and the last thing that happened last night before I went to bed was Jorah Mormont captured Tyrion and kidnapped him,
Oh, yeah.
and so finally, and I'm not counting Barristan Selmy. Finally, characters from the Daenerys storyline are interacting with characters from the rest of the show. I'm not counting Selmy because he was like I barely knew who he was before he before he met Daenerys. Um so I just have to say if we still had a podcast about this show uh and I was forced to watch these episodes at a one episode a week pace, I would be so incredibly irritated by the fact that it takes Daenerys' storyline so long to line up with the rest of the show.
I never noticed it because I always binged it.
Yeah,
But it does make sense why it would.
like that would it does irritate me now, but I'm able to binge it, so it's okay. But
And most shows are designed to be binged anyway.
nowadays they are, yeah.
So I don't think that's like a fault.
But still, I'm just saying if we still had the podcast, this would be highly irritating, and you would hear me rant about it a lot.
I can see that. Yeah.
So anyway,
Are you enjoying the show more and more though?
Game of Thrones. I was enjoying it quite a bit. Through the up until about the end of season 4.
It's kind of
Which-
slowed down.
But it is slowing down. I expect it'll pick up again.
It ebb and flows.
Yeah. By the way, the other Game of Thrones thing I wanted to say was so the last episode of season 4 is where Tywin Lannister dies. And
Amazing scene.
and honestly, as humiliating deaths go, I can't think of a way of a more humiliating way to die than being shot with a crossbow by your son, who's a family disgrace, who you have just sentenced to be executed, and then he escaped from prison on your watch, and he shoots you while you're taking a shit.
Yeah,
Also-
it is
Also, before he shot you,
so
he
deserved.
went to your bedroom and murdered the whore that was in your bed.
Who?
I
Shay-
don't think that there's a more humiliating way to die than that.
Oh man, I mean, there's also the mountain, the eye scene. You know, how did you
Oh,
feel
yeah.
about that?
Oh yeah, the mountain crushing Oberyn's face. That was a pretty shocking scene.
That was wild.
By the way, I haven't gotten I haven't gotten far enough to know the answer to this yet, so please don't tell me, but what the fuck is happening with the mountain? Like this weird dude is like turning him into Frankenstein's monster or something. What the hell is going on?
My thoughts exactly.
The last time I saw him, the guy's just like sitting at his desk writing a message because Cersei told him to write a note to send to Littlefinger, and he's sitting there writing it, and then suddenly the mountain just like spasms on the table behind him, and he just goes, "Shh." I'm like, oh my god, what the hell? What the hell, Game of Thrones? It
It's so good. But regardless, much
yeah,
like
I'm ready to move on. if
yeah,
you are.
I'm ready to move on to a 4-12 Buccaneers team. Oh man, this is becoming
Yeah.
routine.
Yeah. So to clarify, you have the Buccaneers from this spreadsheet on the screen, right? The
Yes, that with
schedule
the
order
London
ones.
game, the Thursday Night Football from week 1. Now it's
Yeah,
an easier way to like view it.
it's weird that there are two games, there are two primetime games, and the London one isn't even primetime, but they're both against the Panthers. So
Those are
they
not going
play
to be games that anyone wants to watch.
no, they play at the Panthers on Thursday night week 2 and then versus the Panthers week 6.
And they'll be as irrelevant in January as they've always been.
Mhm. Yeah, closing the season with what? 6-game losing streak?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fun. Um it is interesting though cuz they're like after week 11 where we have them beating the Saints at home. They they're 4-6. So they're probably like on the fringes of the playoff picture at that point, and then they just lose 6 straight to end the year. And that's just like that's typical Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
There they are. It's like they might have a chance. Oh, no.
Nope.
No, yeah, so they pick up losses against Panthers, 49ers start out the year. Giants, they beat
Yep.
them week 3. And then they have 2 road losses against the Rams and the Saints. Go to London, beat the Panthers, get revenge for that game, have their bye week, then go and lose twice on the road, then pick up 2 wins, one divisional against the Saints, one on the
Right. That
Cardinals,
by the
and
way,
then they just go 6-game losing streak.
there are 2 road losses there where they lost at the Titans and at the Seahawks. Then they beat the Cardinals and Saints at home. Then they lose 6 straight. At Falcons, at Jaguars, versus Colts, at Lions, versus Texans, versus Falcons. All losses.
Don't have a lot else to say about them. I don't think anyone disagrees with how terrible the Buccaneers are.
Yeah, they're not going to be a good team. So I say let's move on to the Falcons,
I
who
second this motion.
who are going to be a good team.
A 13-3 Kaka team.
Yeah.
Start the year off with only 1 loss to the Colts in week 3. They have 2 primetime games, one at Thanksgiving night football, which is a Thursday night game.
Mhm.
Another one early in the season.
By the way, their week 15 game at 49ers, that's a flex candidate for sure.
Yeah.
Um
Or the Jaguars even.
yeah, or the Jaguars. That could be too. We have all those teams being good. Um, so yeah, breaking down the Falcons' schedule here, like Bryce said, they are going 13-3. So they have wins to begin the year. They start 2-0 at Vikings and versus Eagles on Sunday night.
Then they go to
Then they
Indy
lose
and
at the
lose.
Colts.
Yeah.
They lose at the Colts, which is a tough matchup, week 3. And then they have a nice win streak there of 5 games. Home against the Titans, at Texans, at Cardinals, versus Rams, versus Seahawks. And the Falcons get lucky here in that these tough matchups in the NFC end up being home games for them.
Yeah, they
Like
have a really favorable home schedule.
if they
And they
had
have a
to
pretty
play,
easy division, I think, as well.
like if they had to play the Seahawks on the road, that's a game that they would probably drop in Seattle because Seattle has such a nice home field advantage. But they get to play that one at home, which is nice. So then they have their bye week 9, and
lose off the bye in New Orleans.
yep, they lose coming off the bye to the Saints. Then they win at Panthers.
4-game win
at
streak. Buccaneers, Saints, Panthers, all home.
Yep, and that Saints game, as we mentioned, is Thanksgiving night. And then they lose at the 49ers week 15, which is a flex candidate if we're right about these teams. And then they finish off the season with 2 wins at home against the Jaguars and at Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
So yeah, 13-3. The Falcons, we like them this year. We think they're going to bounce back from a tough year last year. They were very injured last year is the main reason I think they struggled.
And I think they're getting rid of some of their older injuries, and they're going to get some new guys. I think this is solid. have a reason to believe the Falcons are going to be bad this year.
Right, exactly. Last year was just kind of a weird year for the Falcons.
They were invisible because of those injuries, and they never
Yeah.
had any prime time.
Yeah. Okay, so anything else to say on Atlanta, or should we move on to the Panthers?
It is kind of weird. The rebound will be like talked about a lot. I know that we're skimming over it and seeing, oh, this is normal, but like they've been pretty shit for a few years.
Well, no, they were in the Super Bowl 3 years ago.
Yeah, but the
They
last 2 years were
no, they made the playoffs the year before last. They lost to the Eagles in the divisional round. So like I mean, they made it to the divisional playoffs 2 years ago.
I don't know. I
It's
think
just
it's a
last
little more
year-
surprising than we're giving credit for, but that's okay. Anyway, Panthers.
Okay,
Another.
so the
Oh my god.
The Panthers are gonna really suck. We think, they're gonna be terrible. So we have them.
No way Cam's healthy. Just no way Cam is healthy. Even if he's playing, there's no way he's healthy.
Yeah, this early season losing streak, I feel, is pretty inevitable. So they get a win week 2 against the Buccaneers after losing to the Rams
Thursday
at home
night.
in week 1. Yeah, and that, I mean, Thursday
Dude,
night
that's gonna
home
be such a
games,
bad game.
It's gonna be really bad. So then we have them losing at Cardinals, at Texans, versus Jags, at Buccaneers in London. And then they go on a bye after the London game and then come back and lose at 49ers.
Come back from that bye and lose.
Yep. Yeah, they need Andy Reid. He never loses off a bye. So
Isn't it that he always does?
no, Andy Reid is very good after byes.
Oh, okay.
That's sort of his thing. So anyway, then they pick up a win week 9 versus the Titans. Then they lose at Packers versus Falcons, at Saints. Then they pick up a win week 13 against the Racists at home. And then a 4-game losing streak to end it at Falcons versus Seahawks, at Colts versus Saints.
For an
So-
underwhelming record of 3-13.
Yeah, so it really seemed like the Buccaneers were going to be the worst team in this division, but the Panthers are worse. The Panthers finish 3-13, the Buccaneers were 4-12. We just have no confidence in either of those teams.
That's fair. Honestly, it could be the Panthers are one of the most disappointing teams in the next 5 years.
They could be, honestly, and it's strange to say that because they have a good quarterback in Cam Newton. You know,
But
former MVP.
the reason why he's good might not be. It's really like he's starting to become very injury prone.
Yeah. Well, and I mean I guess that's always been the concern with him, with how much he likes to run and take contact. You know, it's obviously a high risk of injury. And unfortunately for Cam, that is the strength of his game is him being able to run, and you know, it's what's allowed him to have this career, but he's not able to be a pocket quarterback, you know. He can't do it. He's proven that over the course of his career that he cannot just be a pocket passer.
They also don't have a lot of weapons on that team. They have Christian McCaffrey and no one else.
Yeah, pretty much. And can you name a player on their defense besides Luke Kuechly?
Fuck.
I know, right? They just
They're not even
I-
part of the safety carousel.
is Star
dare they?
Latulele still there?
I'm sorry?
Is Star Latulele still there?
What?
He's a decent player.
I have no idea who that is.
Star Latulele.
I think we can move on, honestly.
I think we can.
I think that says that's enough said, honestly.
Yeah. By the way, the big loss on their defense is Thomas Davis is, I believe, a Charger now. So that's a big loss for them.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Um, okay, so moving on then to the Saints, which honestly, the Saints are kind of enigmatic to me.
Well, that's a fire drill.
Oh, well, you better get out of there.
All right, this is gonna be cutting the recording short, I guess.
No, well, wait.
Well, oh
I
no,
can
I'll
vamp.
just mute my mic.
Okay. Well, I'm still hearing the sirens. I don't know if the mic is muted or not, but I'm gonna have to vamp now. Um, so while I'm here alone, I'm not gonna talk about the Saints just yet because I want to say, how about the Milwaukee Bucks? I mean, come on. They swept the Pistons now in round one. They won uh, all four games convincingly. Although last night they were down at halftime. Uh, they were down at the end of the first quarter and down at halftime, but they got the Pistons into foul trouble, and then in the third quarter, the Bucks went on a run when the Pistons were not able to play as aggressively. The honestly, I really love this Bucks team. They're so good. I'm so excited. They swept the Pistons, and the unfortunately for the Bucks, the Celtics swept the Pacers. So um, unfortunately, that means that the Celtics are going to be equally well rested going into that second round matchup. But it'll be really fun. It's a fitting way to do it because the Celtics are the team that knocked the Bucks out last year. Um, so it'll be fun. I'm really looking forward to that playoff series. I'm also really looking forward to finding out if when I listen back to this later, if the the sirens are still audible in the recording because I still hear them right now. Um, I wonder what's going on over there. Is this a fire drill? Is there an actual fire? Did somebody like light a pizza on fire or something? I mean, it is like 1:15 in the afternoon, so you know, lunchtime ish. Somebody could have accidentally burned something that set off the fire alarm. Um, Also, I'm hearing a lot of static, so I'm starting to think maybe the mic has caught fire over there, in which case, nobody's ever going to hear this. Um, I'm having to talk in a monologue. But yeah, the Milwaukee Bucks, they're great. I'm I'm so pumped for the rest of this playoff run. I'm hoping that the Raptors, because it looks like the Raptors and 76ers are both going to win their first round series. And uh I'm hoping that the Raptors can take out the 76ers because honestly, assuming that the Bucks beat the Celtics, the 76ers are I think the toughest possible matchup for the Eastern Conference Finals. So I'm really hoping that we don't have to play Philly cuz they look like a tough team to beat. They match up well against the Bucks too. But I no matter who we have to play, I feel like the Bucks can take them. They are the best team in the NBA. I really do believe that. And even if they play Golden State in the NBA Finals, I feel like they'll win. I think they're good enough. They're that good. Because I feel like, how do you neutralize Steph Curry? Well, I mean, you don't, but I think that you have to have somebody on defense who can take him away. And Eric Bledsoe, I mean, he plays defense better than almost any guard I've seen. Like I I feel like he really could take away the the best in the NBA. Maybe not completely. I mean, superstar players are always going to get their points, but enough for the Bucks to be able to beat the Warriors. I really think that they can do it. And nobody has faith in the Bucks, who have 60 regular season wins. I mean, come on. Home court throughout the playoffs. I I really hope they can do it. I'm excited to continue to watch. They're a fun team to root for. Um so yeah, I'll just continue to stall while Bryce is apparently outside and, experiencing nature. Um so yeah. Uh I'm not sure what all of that static sound is going on over there. I I really hope that everything's okay. Um this is long for a fire drill, so I'm guessing something actually did go wrong over there and they're having to put out a fire. I left my phone upstairs, so in case Bryce is texting me, I'll walk up there and get it. But that's going to mean, oh, this is going to take some true feat. This is going to be a true feat of heroism. I'm going to have to walk upstairs with my laptop, still talking into the mic and my headset, and oh, the fire alarm stopped. The fire alarm has stopped. Now, that could mean one of two things. Could mean that everybody's coming back inside, or it could mean that Bryce's computer has been destroyed by the flames, and therefore I'm talking to nobody. However, the Discord call is still going, so I'm assuming that means that everything is in fact okay over there, and soon Bryce will be back, and we will continue our discussion of the NFC South. So, the question is, should I try to start talking about the Saints before Bryce gets back? I think I won't. I'm going to wait for him because I'm a kind person that way. And yeah, what else can I talk about? Let's see. Well, it's April 23rd, which means that we are a week away from Fire at the Maternity Ward, Anthony Jeselnik's comedy special that I'm looking forward to. I'll probably give that a plug next podcast or the podcast after. Even though I'm not involved in any way, I just like Anthony Jeselnik. He's funny. He's a good comedian. And plus, he does JRVP, the Jeselnik and Rosenthal Vanity Project, JRVP, Junior Vice President. And that's always very amusing. I highly recommend, if you like this podcast, I don't know, you must be crazy, but you'll probably like JRVP as well, so check that out. So what else can I talk about right now? Nothing is really happening in my life, to be honest. It's like I have this podcast, I have the Milwaukee Bucks, and I have nothing else right now. So that's cool. Yeah. So Bryce's circle keeps lighting up, but I don't think he's actually there yet. Oh, sounds like he's coming back in. All right. Yeah, he's back. Hey, how's it going?
I did mute the audio in the recording.
Okay, good. Because
That's the only thing I cared about. I didn't care if you heard it.
I could still hear the fire alarm, which was good actually, because then I knew when it stopped. uh Yeah, so I successfully vamped through that entire thing.
What did
I, I
you
talked I talked about the Bucks. They're moving on to the conference semifinals. So
Oh no, I heard Buccaneers, not Bucks.
yeah,
Yeah,
no, the
they
Bucks
4-0'd. They 4-0'd.
they 4-0'd the Pistons.
They
So
4-0'd.
anyway, when you listen back to this later, you can hear all my thoughts on that.
You need help. I need help.
Yep, it got a little bit sad right at the end, but
Please.
otherwise it was a successful vamping.
It got sad?
It got a little sad at the end.
Why is
Yes.
that?
You'll just have to tune in and find out, Bryce.
Do you not think they're gonna beat Golden State?
No, not talking about that. The Bucks talk didn't get sad at the end. Just the vamping in general did. So anyway, um, moving on.
That's gonna be
We
interesting.
Yep. So moving on, we are finally ready to talk about the New Orleans Saints, um, who I started to say are kind of an enigma because they had the top seed in the NFC this past year. They were the best NFC team, best overall record in the NFL. And then we have them going 7-9. We feel like they're going to regress pretty sharply.
Yeah. I'm willing to bet that. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
don't
just
know.
Okay,
I'm
let's go through game by game. They have 4
we'll,
primetime games. They have one on Thanksgiving. It's a night Thanksgiving game against the Falcons.
right.
But here,
So yeah, we'll go game by game. So they start the season with a win against the Texans at home on
all
Monday
right,
night.
Texans not too
So-
hard.
So they are the first. That's the first game of the Monday night doubleheader. Then they lose 3 straight at Rams, at Seahawks, and then home against the Cowboys on Sunday night.
Those aren't hard. Those are hard games. I think every one of those are
Those
hard
are
games,
all-
and that's going to be a trend that we see with their schedule.
Those
Aside
are all
from a
playoff
one
teams,
game,
you know.
there is
All of those
one game they
playoff
lose that I
teams.
don't really understand why we have that.
So
We'll get to
they
it.
lose 3 straight, but all against playoff teams from last year. So all right. Then they beat the Buccaneers at home. They lose at the Jaguars and at the Bears. We're very high on both the Jags and Bears, so that
They
makes
bo-
sense.
And away games still not. Yeah, you see, I would still say that's fine.
Still, like they've lost 5 games, but they're all tough. And then they beat the Cardinals at home before the bye, so they go into the bye 3-5.
Then they have
Then-
to play the Falcons.
Coming out of the bye, they beat the Falcons at home, and they lose at the Buccaneers because they always seem to drop a game to the Buccaneers.
They seem to do poorly against them. Some mental blockage, maybe.
Mhm.
Regardless,
Then they beat the Panthers at home. Then they lose their Thanksgiving night game at Atlanta.
yeah. Falcons, 49ers, Colts are all losses,
Yeah,
and like
they
those are
lose to
gonna
the-
all be hard based on our
They
predictions.
lose to the Niners and Colts at home. Yep.
I think
tough-
all
tough
3 of those
games.
teams, their worst record is a 13-win Falcons.
Yeah.
Like,
And yeah, you're right. And then we have them closing out the season with wins against the Titans and Panthers on the road to screw over their draft position. So
like usual.
so 7-9, but all of their losses, with the exception of that Buccaneers loss, they all come against teams that are either playoff teams from last year or teams that we're really high on, like the Jaguars and the Falcons
Yeah.
and the 49ers.
Their
Um,
schedule isn't the easiest, and I don't think that they're going to be all there.
Yeah, we have, like I said, we have really high expectations for a lot of these teams that they're losing to, and the Saints just have a really tough schedule. So we do expect them, and the main thing too is that, like, I don't think Drew Brees is Drew Brees anymore. You know, I think that we saw towards the end of last season and even in the playoffs, he's not making the throws that we're used to seeing him make. And I just think that that offense is going to take a major step back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad when quarterbacks start to decline. Especially like I've always really liked Drew Brees. He's always been a lot of fun to watch. Um, but unfortunately, the NFC Championship game last year where they got screwed by a bad call, I think that's the farthest they're going to go. I don't think that they're
Yeah,
going to get back to the playoffs again
they
with
will
Drew
not
Brees
have
and Sean
another
Payton.
Super Bowl with Drew Brees.
No, and it's sad because I've kind of
I mean,
rooted
it's
for
not
them
as
over the
sad as
years.
Philip Rivers' career.
No, it's not.
That's
Philip
the one
Rivers, the man
redeeming.
who replaced Breeze in San Diego. But anyway, um, so yeah, we have the Falcons finishing 13-3, and then the other three teams in that division all finishing with losing records. So 7-9 Saints, 4-12 Bucks, 3-13 Panthers. So, any closing thoughts on the NFC South?
Kind of a really bad division, honestly. And the
Yeah,
one
like
team
we
that
like
like
the Falcons. We like the
yeah.
Falcons, but what did we have them doing in the division anyway? Did they go 5-1 in the division?
Yes.
Yeah,
I think we're moving on to music now though.
yeah, we are.
I think that closes the football part of our podcast.
Yeah. So that's all I have to say about the football part of our podcast.
I agree. I as well.
I also
I'm
every
putting up.
word. Oh yeah,
I'll
go
put
ahead.
up them. Yeah. No. You
Just
go. You just
I
talk.
just want to say, Bryce, every word from your mouth is a knife in my ear.
That was a really bad that. Okay. I don't know, man. Bravery, man.
Yeah.
They're one
So
of
what
those
what
bands.
what did you think about this album, about The Sun and the Moon by The Bravery?
All right, it started out really strong. Listening back to that song,
To Believe?
it's a banger. Like it actually has an incredible hook. It leads it up with a lot of energy, and you just get blasted in the face. And you're just like, holy shit, this really gets me excited for the rest of the album. And the rest of it's just so messy. It's so there's no vision between all these songs. They seem like they were like half written. A lot of them. Like
Mhm.
Knife in My Ear is one of the worst. Holy crap!
I know.
That song sucks so bad.
It is a terrible song. I agree with you on that. And
Like the hook is just vile to the ears. It makes me wince in my chair. I'm like, what am I listening to? It was bad. How dare you make me listen to an album like this? You got me hyped up so much.
Well, honestly, I don't think it's that bad. There are some songs on there that are definitely bad, like Knife in My Ear. But like the other single from the album, besides Believe, is Time Won't Let Me Go. I've always thought that was a pretty solid song.
Oh man, I think this band's trying to be Wolfmother, and they're just not as good as Wolfmother. And Wolfmother's a solid band. I don't know if you've ever you know the song Joker and the Thief.
I think I do, yeah.
The Joker and the Thief in the night.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's Wolfmother. They're a really really good band. They're like one of those solid rock bands from the 2000s, and I think they're trying to be a breed of like that Franz Ferdinand, Wolfmother band, and I just God, Believe is I'll give them credit for Believe. I think that's actually it's still a bop, but I'd like they're a one-hit wonder.
At least you liked one song. Yeah, I guess I was hoping you would like some of the rest of it. And I think that some of those songs are all right. But anyway, that's fair. your assessment is fair enough.
I would give it a 3 out of 10. Just
Okay.
yeah. But how did you think of Pup? I think I hope
Yeah,
I'm excited for this.
Yeah. So my review is positive. So
Yay!
the
I did it.
the beginning of this album, the first I think like of the first 4 songs, I think that 3 of them I like really liked. Um so that was awesome. Great start to the album. And then the rest of it was like pretty solid. There weren't any songs that I was like that I really violently disliked.
Oh
Um
man, Sibling Rivalry is my favorite song on this album. I love that song so much.
yeah, that one was good. I felt like I think the title track Morbid Stuff was good.
Oh, that's a
And
it's a fun song. Yeah.
I think the song that I liked most was actually Free at Last.
Yeah, that's a really nice song. They actually did a funny thing with that song.
Yeah, I
If
saw
you
that
the
actually.
music video where they
Yeah,
had
yeah.
people wonder what it would sound like. Yeah.
That was really cool actually. Um
Pup's
but
a
yeah,
good band.
this was a good album. I liked it. I this is the first one that you recommended that I've like really enjoyed. Like the whole thing.
I thought you would.
So it was good.
It's one of my favorite albums. My favorite album of the year so far. I really like Morbid Stuff. This
Mhm.
album, Sibling Rivalry, Blood Mary, Kate, and Ashley. Those 2 songs, fantastic for me. I think the album does kind of teeter off at the end. Full Blown Meltdown kind of gets a little corny for me. I can't really get into it. It getting so heavy. And I don't think it kind of fits the rest of the album as much as I wish it did. But I that's like a very like nitpicky thing. I think I'd give this
Mhm.
album a 9 still. Like I really like this album.
Yeah, I'd probably give it more like a I don't know. I guess I'd probably give it like a 6.5. So like good.
Wow, that is harsh.
I mean,
I
it's
thought you were
good.
making it sound like you were like, yeah, I really like this album. 6.5.
No, I did really like it. 6.5. um. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, this was a good one though. I I think you hit on one. By the way, it also was interesting that I I was wondering going through the first few episodes of this podcast whether you would recommend something that I had already heard first, or if I would recommend something that you had not heard first. And as it turned out, I recommended something that you had not heard last time.
Yeah.
That was
I'd heard the title track. I'd never heard the
yes,
entire album, obviously. Yeah.
right, right. So, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first for next time?
I am recommending an album by the name of Home Like No Place Is Here. It's by the band Hotelier. I'm going into this vein of music because I think this is where we're actually going to get music that you're going to like. This is going to be indie, emo, pop punky, I guess, but more Midwest emo, like in that it'd be more like American football, Captain Jazz, and American football, much like this podcast. And I don't know if you've ever heard that band.
No, I have not.
Really? They're really popular. Home Like No Place Is There. My bad.
Yeah, I figured that out.
This album, you're gonna find that I have very mixed feelings about it. There are some songs in this album that I think are some of the greatest songs I've ever heard. I really like a lot of these songs, and then there are a lot of them that I just think are terrible. Like, this is the most polarizing album I've ever listened to, but I can't get away from some of these tracks.
Okay.
Tracks that I think you're gonna love, especially if you look into the lyricism, because the lyricism on this album is phenomenal. What some tracks that I think you should really keep an eye on when you're looking at the lyricism are Housebroken, especially Housebroken, and Your Deep Rest. Which, if you actually say your deep rest, I don't know if you can actually pick up on what I don't know what it's called, but like it sounds like something else.
Yeah, I know there's a word for it, but I can't remember what it
Yeah,
is.
but like it's sounding like you're depressed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. And in the first track, an introduction to the album. Those three beautiful tracks. I like them a lot, especially Housebroken. Holy crap, Housebroken.
Okay. All
Very
right.
excited
Well,
to see what you think of this album. I think you'll like it more than I do, like the tracks that I don't like.
okay. Well, I'm excited to listen to it as well. Okay. So now, okay. Before I tell you what this is, can you promise me that you will listen to this and judge it as music and not as anything else?
I mean, I listen to artists like Brand New and Jank, two artists who have had sexual assault scandals against them. Especially Jank, who's the lead singer, is now in jail for like 30 years for assaulting a minor sexually.
Okay.
But I mean, the
See,
music, I can take music for music and the artist away from it.
see, now I think you think you know what I'm going to recommend, but that's not it. Um, so you think that I'm going to ask you to listen to Chameleon Circuit again, and I'm not. Um, what I really want is okay. This band that I'm recommending is one that we've talked about before, and I know that you don't like. However, I don't think that you've listened to this particular album at any point, and you may not have even heard any of these songs.
Ryan, I'm scared.
Do you have a guess?
If it's like
I,
Fallout Boy, I swear to God.
it's not Fall Boy. No. Um. Okay. So the album that I'm going to recommend is this is an old album. It is from 1977. It is called "Let There Be Rock" by AC/DC.
Oh, Jesus.
Now, I know you don't like AC/DC. However, this is a really great album. Like, seriously, it is very underappreciated, even by fans of the band. Um, oh, by the way, I should also ask, how do you normally listen to these recommendations?
Start to finish, look up the lyricism.
No, but I mean, like, where do you listen to them?
On my bed.
No, I mean, you know what I mean. How do you look them up and find the songs to listen to?
Spotify.
Okay, good. I did try to look for like a good version of this entire album on YouTube, and there just isn't one for whatever reason. So, but Spotify has it, so you know. Anyway,
41 minutes of AC/DC.
yeah. So here's the thing. Okay, my favorite song by them, and one of my all-time favorite songs, honestly, is on this album, and it is not one of the singles. And for reference, the singles on this album are
Dog Eat
"Dog Eat,"
Dog and Let There Be Rock. I know.
yep, and "Whole Lot of Rosie," also the last song. Um, which I think that "Whole Lot of Rosie" and "Let There Be Rock" are very good, also in my opinion. But um, I'm not even going to tell you which one it is. I'm just going to let you listen to it. But my favorite AC/DC song is on this album, and it is not one of those three. Um. So anyway, uh, I want you to listen to that and just try to separate
No,
the whole.
I don't. I listen to an album with no other context than what I'm hearing, basically, and any art context that the artist would actually like me to present with it. That's
All right.
all. Like, And then I interpret everything based off that.
Okay. When you listen to this, just I'm asking you, just let me know, and I want to know if you know what the song is that I'm talking about. Which one? Because I mean, I suppose
I
you
have
could guess.
no idea. Why would I know?
I suppose you can guess. There's a 1 in 5 chance, but when you listen to them, I want to know if you can figure it out.
Overdose.
I mean, you have a 1 in 5 chance. You're just guessing.
It's Overdose.
Are you sure about that, Bryce?
It's Overdose.
Huh. What's your basis for that?
This. My basis. Am I correct?
Why would I tell you if you're correct? The whole point was for you to listen to it and find out.
Damn it.
All right. You really thought you had me there, didn't you? Okay. So yeah, that's my recommendation. Please try to like it. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much all that we have to talk about for this time, I think.
Yeah.
Unless you have another
I think
topic.
I don't have any closing statements other than we're only 2 divisions away.
We're only 2 divisions away, and I need to come up with some way to represent our playoff picture too. I wonder, actually.
You can make brackets. Challenge.
Well, I know that, but like, I wonder. So, towards the end of the season, there's usually like a playoff predictor thing that somebody makes that
Yeah.
will let you like play out every game for the rest of the season and figure out what the playoffs will be.
That's like
So I wonder.
ESPN algorithm, I think.
I
I
wonder
know.
if I could do that for the entire season and just have it generate our playoff bracket. You know, if for no other reason than to verify that we're correct. But anyway, I'll look into that and try to figure it out for next time. What are you looking up?
I'm trying to see. Ha, you can.
You can? Awesome.
I think you can. Wait. Oh my god, you can. Here, this is the website. Oh my god. I think I'll end it here though. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
See you next time.
Yeah. So for for Dirk Gently, I'm Todd Brotzman. Go Bucks.